Welcome to Your Daily Writing Habit, episode number 611. If you are writing a book or thinking about it, or maybe you've started writing your book, but you're having some trouble getting it done, you are in the right place. Good morning. Happy Sunday. I'm your host, Christine Whitmarsh, also known as Christine Inc., like that stuff we write with, especially if you're looking for me on social media. Each day I'm sharing with you the writing habits I've learned over my 19 years as a ghostwriter, book coach, and author. I have found that three things in particular have a huge impact on your success as an author, and they have the ability to turn someone who barely considers themselves to be a writer into a published book author. Those three things are writing fundamentals, productivity, and mindset habits. And it just occurs to me now, as I'm saying this, and I've said this beginning 611 times now in these episodes, those are the three things that turned me into a published book author from a writer all those years ago. I just realized that. So yes, those three pillars, it's definitely a thing. Writing fundamentals, productivity, mindset habits, they work. I am proof. So once again, good morning. Happy Sunday. I've been digressing a lot this week with these little side notes, these side stories. I hope you enjoy them. But happy Sunday, everyone. As we do every Sunday here on the show, it's Sunday Story Time, where I grab a book off my bookshelf, whether it's one of my own or a client book, or a book that's impacted me in some way. I read you an excerpt and then I pose some sort of study question, some sort of question that you can apply to help your writing. And today is one of my favorite books on, you guessed it, productivity. That's one of my, possibly my favorite of the three pillars. That's the one that's had the most effect, I think, on my writing career, is my productivity habits. I digress yet again. All right, well, this book is called The Shallows by Nicholas Carr, and here is an excerpt. Dave, stop. Stop, will you? Stop, Dave. Will you stop? So the supercomputer HAL pleads with the implacable astronaut Dave Bowman in a famous and weirdly poignant scene toward the end of Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey. Bowman, having nearly been sent to a deep space death by the malfunctioning machine, is calmly, coldly disconnecting the memory circuits that control its artificial brain. Dave, my mind is going, Hal says forlornly. I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it too. Over the last few years, I've had an uncomfortable sense that someone or something has been tinkering with my brain, remapping the neural circuitry, reprogramming the memory. My mind isn't going, as far as I can tell, but it's changing. I'm not thinking the way I used to think. I feel it most strongly when I'm reading. I used to find it easy to immerse myself in a book or a lengthy article. My mind would get caught up in the twists of the narrative or the turns of the argument, and I'd spend hours strolling through long stretches of prose. That's rarely the case anymore. Now my concentration starts to drift after a page or two. I get fidgety, lose the thread, begin looking for something else to do. I feel like I'm always dragging my wayward brain back to the text. The deep reading that used to come naturally has become a struggle. I think I know what's going on. For well over a decade now, I've been spending a lot of time online, searching and surfing and sometimes adding to the great databases of the internet. The web's been a godsend to me as a writer. Research that once required days in the stacks or periodical rooms of libraries can now be done in minutes. A few Google searches, some quick clicks on hyperlinks, and I've got the telltale fact or the pithy quote I was after. I couldn't begin to tally the hours or the gallons of gasoline the net has saved me. I do most of my banking and a lot of my shopping online. I use my browser to pay my bills, schedule my appointments, book flights and hotel rooms, renew my driver's license, send invitations and greeting cards. Even when I'm not working, I'm as likely as not to be foraging in the web's data thickets, reading and writing emails, scanning headlines and blog posts, following Facebook updates, watching video streams, downloading music, or just tripping lightly from link to link to link. The net has become my all-purpose medium, the conduit for most of the information that flows through my eyes and ears and into my mind. The advantages of having immediate access to such an incredibly rich and easily searched store of data are many, and they've been widely described and duly applauded. Google, says Heather Pringle, a writer with Archaeology magazine, is an astonishing boon to humanity, gathering up and concentrating information and ideas that were once scattered so broadly around the world that hardly anyone could profit from them, observes Wired's Clive Thompson. The perfect recall of silicon memory can be an enormous boon to thinking. The boons are real, but they come at a price. As McLuhan suggested, media aren't just channels of information. They supply the stuff of thought, but they also shape the process of thought. And what the net seems to be doing is chipping away my capacity for concentration and contemplation. Whether I'm online or not, my mind now expects to take in information the way the net distributes it, in a swiftly moving stream of particles. Once I was a scuba diver in the sea of words. Now I zip along the surface like a guy on a jet ski. Maybe I'm an aberration, an outlier, but it doesn't seem that way. When I mention my troubles with reading to friends, many say they're suffering from similar afflictions. The more they use the web, the more they have to fight to stay focused on long pieces of writing. Some worry they're becoming chronic scatterbrains. Several of the bloggers I follow have also mentioned the phenomenon. Scott Karp, who used to work for a magazine and now writes a blog about online media, confesses that he has stopped reading books altogether. I was a lit major in college and used to be a voracious book reader, he writes. What happened? He speculates on the answer. What if I do all my reading on the web, not so much because the way I read has changed, i.e., I'm just seeking convenience, but because the way I think has changed? Once again, that's an excerpt from the just amazingly fantastic book, The Shallows by Nicholas Carr. Highly recommend this. And one of the reasons I love this book so much, believe it or not, is because, and it might not be evident from the excerpt, but it's because of its optimism. The message that, yes, there is science, and he proves it in the book, there is science showing that the internet has indeed rewired our brains. But all is not lost. With a little work, a little focused and concentrated work, and it's that word again that I love, habits, we can rewire it back toward focus and concentration on things like reading and writing books. It is possible. So I highly recommend this book, and we'll of course post a link to it in the show notes. But for today's study question, I have this for you. If it's not already in your daily habits, it's more of a study task. Add reading. Reading an actual book, not social media or articles and all the clicking around Google, like an actual book. And if it's been a while, be aware that you might need to do some rewiring of those neural circuits in your brain to create this new habit. And that's fine. Be patient with yourself. Maybe just start with a page or two, or maybe just a few paragraphs every night. Maybe tonight before you go to bed. That's my favorite book reading time, also because it's like when my brain is most receptive to reading actual thoughts, but also because that's when you retain the most information before you go to bed. So give it a shot and see if reading books is a habit that might be good for your brain. I bet it is. Oh, and when I say reading books, I mean visually, like a paper or ebook. There's nothing against audiobooks, but that's just like an entirely different brain process that I won't get into. So even if those are you who are doing audiobooks, give paper or ebooks a try and fire up those parts of your brain, those neural circuits in your brain, and see how else those circuits benefit your life. It's not just going to be the book reading circuits. The book reading circuits will benefit other circuits, and you'll find all sorts of very pleasant benefits, very pleasant intellectual benefits in your life. So give that a shot. Let me know how it goes. Drop by my Inc. Authors group on Facebook. And yeah, tell us about your reading habit. Tell us what you're reading. And if you have noticed what Nicholas Carr was saying in this excerpt, and what, the people he was quoting were saying, have you noticed your capacity for reading and concentrating on and really just understanding books and the written word? Has that decreased over the years with the internet? And more importantly, can you commit now to kind of rewiring those neural circuits back to what they used to be? It is possible. The brain is an amazing thing. Thank you for joining me here on Your Daily Writing Habit, where I am helping you write and finish writing an awesome book. Until tomorrow, happy writing.